Our story begins inside a lab where a wounded Dr. Yongju ignores the police, determined to reach his daughter's dead body. Eventually, the authorities let him in and surround him, but he still refuses to listen. Yongju proceeds to inject his daughter with an experimental serum he had developed. Unexpectedly, a powerful earthquake strikes, destroying the buildings around them. 3 years after the disastrous earthquake, the entire area has become a lawless badlands due to the scarcity of food and water. Many hunters roam the badlands in search of food to sell in the market. The rain in this area has become a curse, worsening the people's fate. Because of the harsh conditions, people have learned to save water and travel to neighboring districts to filter it for drinking. Living in the Bus district is a fearless badland hunter named Namsen, feared by many. He often hunts with an 18-year-old boy named Giwon, his companion. After their hunts, they set up a shop in the district to sell meat to the citizens. One of their regular customers is an 18-year-old girl named Suna and her grandmother. One day, while they are in the market, a speeding car arrives, identifying its occupants as policemen from Jamil Station. The men show a picture of a person as an excuse to start hunting people. The leader of the group notices Suna, mesmerized by her beauty, and touches her hair. When Giwon sees this, he tries to help Suna, but he is quickly overpowered and beaten by the group. Namsen decides to intervene and easily defeats the bandits, pinning their leader to a table. He questions the man and learns that he works under a gang leader called Tiger. Namsen also asks where the man got his clear water, discovering that it came from a hidden apartment in a mysterious area. As Namsen and Giwon walk home, they notice a group of foreigners who are unusually clean and healthy for the Badlands. Curious, they approach the group and learn that they are offering Suna and her grandmother a place to live in an apartment with food and clean water. A woman from the group, who introduces herself as a teacher, explains that they are looking for young women to educate, believing that children are the key to a better future. She promises that Suna's grandmother will receive proper care, and this convinces Suna to go with them without hesitation. Namsen and Giwon are sad that they won't see Suna again, but they are happy for her future. That night, Suna and her grandmother leave with the group. As they travel, Suna grows suspicious of the group but restrains her concerns, trusting that nothing bad will happen. They soon meet other groups and find that another family has been given the same promise. Suna befriends a pleasant girl named Li Ji, and the two quickly become close. While walking across the plains, Suna's grandmother collapses from exhaustion due to her old age. The teacher orders 2 of her men to take Suna's grandmother, along with another elderly man, to a nearby healthcare facility. The teacher promises Suna that her grandmother will join them at the apartment once she recovers. However, Suna's suspicions grow when she notices a car waiting in the distance. She questions the teacher about why her grandmother needs to be sent to a facility when there is a car nearby. Sergeant Kwan, one of the group's leaders, tells her they could wait for her grandmother, but 2 children in the group start complaining about being thirsty. Feeling sorry for the children, Suna agrees to continue without waiting. When she meets Sergeant Kwan, she notices a fresh scar behind his ear, further heightening her suspicions. Meanwhile, the 2 elderly victims wonder about the supposed facility they are being taken to. Instead of finding help, they discover a deep hole in the ground. One man pushes the elderly man into the hole, while the other stabs Suna's grandmother in the neck, killing her instantly. While hunting, Namsen and Giwon witness the incident. 2 men rush at them, and during the fight, they notice that the men regenerate, making it seem impossible to kill them. Later, a woman named Lon Ho, a former sergeant in the Air Force Special Forces unit, suddenly arrives and helps them kill the men by cutting off their heads. She introduces herself and asks for their help in rescuing her colleagues, who are trapped in the apartment. She tells Namsen and Giwon about the strange experiments Dr. Yongju is conducting. Upon hearing this, Namsen and Giwon immediately agree to help. Security is tight at the apartment, so to gather more information on how to infiltrate it, the 3 head to Spa Land, which serves as a battle arena for rival gangs. There, they find someone roaming the arena, and the 3 join in, taking down every member of both gangs. Namsen talks to Tiger and learns that people are being kidnapped and brought to the apartment in exchange for access to clean water. They discover that getting into the apartment isn't easy and that only delivery personnel are allowed inside. They join Tiger and his companions as they head to the apartment. They stop momentarily to plan how to enter without being caught. Meanwhile, Suna arrives at the apartment and meets Yongju, who welcomes them and promises food and clean water. He orders his soldiers to distribute bottles of water to the new arrivals, and everyone drinks, except for Suna. After changing into her uniform, Suna asks Sergeant Kwan when her grandmother will arrive. The teacher approaches her and tells her that rides were sent for the elderly and they will return in the afternoon. Suna, unaware that her grandmother is gone, becomes suspicious when the teacher says that families will not be able to accompany the students. She notices the students behaving strangely and realizes something is wrong when she sees scars behind their ears. Suna tries to ask the teacher what Yongju's true intentions are, which angers the teacher. The teacher explains that Yongju only wants what is best for them, and that Suna should look up to him and trust him. Later, Yongju arrives with their food and water, giving a speech about making the world a better place. Suna witnesses Li Gui, another student, willingly assisting Yongju with his research and in the lab. Suna suddenly asks the doctor if her grandmother is still alive and if she can see her. The teacher reassures her, saying that her grandmother is ill but receiving good care. Yongju promises Suna this and asks her to drink some water. Suna pretends to drink it, but when the doctor turns away, she puts it down on the table. She begins to notice the strange behavior of everyone after they drink the water. That night, while the students are sleeping, Suna sneaks out of the room to investigate the building and find someone who can tell her what's really happening in the apartment. She arrives at Yongju's lab and learns about the horrifying experiments conducted by the mad doctor. In another room, she is horrified to find Li unconscious on a bed, strange devices attached to his head, and his entire body restrained. Meanwhile, Yongju visits the place where the children's parents are laboring. Li Gui's parents, stressed and anxious, demand to see their daughter, as the teacher had promised. Yongju offers to take them to his lab, where they can see their child. However, their excitement turns to terror when they see their daughter's condition. When they try to touch her, the doctor scolds them, forbidding them from moving her. After the emotional scene, Yongju shows them his own daughter, now reduced to just her head, neck, shoulders, and a heartbeat. Li Gui's parents are horrified by the sight and fear that the same fate awaits their daughter. Meanwhile, Suna uncovers the full truth about what is happening. While Suna is secretly observing the storage area, they grab Lu in an attempt to save her, but the woman gasps and dies. In a fit of anger, Namsen kills the man, and the sergeant shoots the woman in the head. Dr. Yongju catches Suna hiding in the storage room and immediately replaces Lu with her for the experiment. The mad doctor cuts the skin behind Suna's ear and explains that he is going to remove her pituitary gland, as it is important for his research. Meanwhile, Namsen and Tiger, pretending to make a delivery, attempt to enter the apartment, but the soldiers catch them since it wasn't a scheduled delivery day. Namsen stops pretending and kills all the soldiers, forcing his way into the apartment. When Sergeant Kwan sees Anho, he orders everyone not to stop them if they head toward the prison, knowing his subordinates won't be able to. The three of them go to the prison to free the captives, but Anho is shocked to find her fellow soldiers imprisoned and mutated due to Dr. Yongju's experiments. Anho, having no choice, helps Namsen and Giwon kill her former comrades. After dealing with the mutants, Namsen lets Giwon and Anho continue the search while he stays behind to fight off the soldiers pursuing them. He meets the parents of the students and tells them to find their children before he leaves. Anho moves up a few floors, telling Giwon to go ahead while she stays behind to confront Sergeant Kwan. The two former partners engage in a fierce fight. Anho damages Sergeant Kwan's eye, but because he is a mutant, he defeats her and throws her out of the apartment. Giwon finds the teacher and forces her to take him to Suna. Meanwhile, Namsen encounters Sergeant Kwan and discovers that Kwan is the real mastermind behind everything. They wrestle, and Namsen throws Kwan out the window. Kwan grabs Namsen's arm, but Namsen pulls her by the hair and cuts her head off using a shard of glass from the broken window. Back in the lab, Suna is still tied up when Dr. Yongju starts acting strangely. Suna reveals that she didn't drink the water they gave her. She then learns that Yongju has been removing their pituitary glands and using them to create a vial for his experiment, which would make his creations immortal. He mixes the vials with animal blood and adds it to the water that his victims drink. After extracting the pituitary gland, he creates a second vial to inject himself, aiming to fully complete his experiment. His goal is to find a way to revive his daughter and prevent her from dying again. However, since Suna didn't drink the water, the second vial that Yongju made using her pituitary gland failed, causing an unusual effect. Later, Giwon enters the room with the teacher and warns Yongju to release Suna, but a soldier arrives, creating a diversion that allows Yongju to escape with his daughter's body, which is encased in a glass box. Before they can flee, Namsen stops them and fights the soldier, accidentally shooting the teacher in the process. The teacher begs Yongju to save her, but instead, he throws a grenade into the room to cover his escape. Giwon pulls Suna down under a table to protect them both from the explosion. Yongju tries to leave the area, but the residents catch up with him. They beat him, but he threatens them, pulling out a gun and firing recklessly. In the chaos, he accidentally shoots the glass box containing his daughter's body, shattering it and causing the water inside to spill. Panicking, Yongju tries to check on the damage, crying and apologizing, promising to start over again to revive her. As he grieves, Suna approaches him and reminds him that his daughter would never forgive him for what he's done. But before Yongju can react, Namsun shoots him, ending the confrontation. After the battle, a miraculous heavy rain begins to fall. Everyone rejoices as they welcome the much-needed rain. Namsun, Suna, and Giwon return to the bus district, where they become a family in the Badlands. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.